A huge defeat for powerful Microsoft. A judge rules the company broke the law. An historic antitrust decision. What now for the company, computer users, and stockholders? The worst day ever for tech stocks. What all this means for you and your money. The showdown over Elian Gonzalez. A sudden turn in tense talks. What's really at the heart of this emotional standoff? And the family, a hot trend, supercharging cereal and other foods. Just marketing, or does it really make a difference?
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. Tonight, a federal judge threw the book at Microsoft, ruling that it blatantly broke the antitrust laws of this country in a variety of ways. It was a tough ruling spelled out in uncompromising language, and it sets the stage for an epic legal and business battle between the software giant and its billionaire officers, the federal judiciary in 19 states. Microsoft, which has a business partnership with NBC, vowed to fight on. We begin tonight with the decision of Judge Thomas Penfield Jackson. Here's NBC's Pete Williams.
In the blistering legal opinion, the federal judge says Microsoft illegally used the huge monopoly of its Windows program to muscle potential competitors out of the market. He says the company tried to crush rival internet browser programs, fearing they could undercut its worldwide Windows dominance. Judge Thomas Penfield Jackson says Microsoft mounted what he called a deliberate assault upon entrepreneurial efforts that could have led to competing products. He said the company, quote, placed an oppressive thumb on the scale of competitive fortune. Justice Department lawyers call the ruling an important victory for consumers.
This landmark opinion, and in the history of antitrust, this is indeed a landmark opinion. This opinion will also set the ground rules for enforcement in the information age.
But Microsoft's top executives have insisted all along that they merely engaged in tough but fair competition and never intended to break antitrust law.
Well, we did everything we could to settle this case, and we'll continue to look for new opportunities to resolve it. We believe we have a strong case on appeal.
Today's decision comes after 4 months of negotiation between the two sides failed to produce a settlement. So investors braced for a tough ruling today, and Microsoft stock took a beating, down about 15 points, costing company founder Bill Gates over $11 billion in lost stock value. Now the judge turns to the next phase in the case, how to punish the company for breaking the law. That could range from the drastic step of actually breaking up the company to more moderate measures like letting computer makers include software from competing companies along with Microsoft programs on the computers they sell. But a former government antitrust lawyer who worked on the Microsoft case says today's strong ruling suggests the judge will take a hard line.
I think the remedy will be strong because the harm to the public interest found has been great, and that is the principle that applies in the remedy phase.
Microsoft is hoping federal appeals courts won't be so hard on the company, but today's ruling legally branding Microsoft a monopoly is sure to encourage more lawsuits, further tying the company up in court. Pete Williams, NBC News, Washington.
This is a decision on a level with historic cases. The case against Standard Oil 100 years ago and AT&T later in the 20th century. It's also complex, and it's not over. Tonight, we asked a prominent antitrust lawyer, Matthew Schwartz of Washington, D.C., to take us through what's next, in his own words.
This is a huge deal. This is literally the case of the millennium. It was a shutout for Microsoft. Microsoft lost at virtually every stage of this litigation. The way it would affect consumers would be to increase choice in the market for web browsers, make more web browsers available, potentially lower prices for those types of services. There's a feeling that Microsoft is not the all-knowing, all-omnipotent, invincible entity, that Microsoft can be taken on and can be beaten. And I suspect we will see that its competitors have more incentive to compete. We are now entering a new economy. We are going into a service economy and leaving the industrial economy behind. And this will really set the stage for the way the courts apply the antitrust laws to technology companies generally.
Antitrust lawyer Matthew Schwartz tonight in his own words. Now, as you might expect, the Microsoft situation helped cause a nerve-wracking day for investors. They wound up pouring money into blue chips. The Dow was up as a result 300 points. But the technology sector took a beating today, led by Microsoft. The NASDAQ was down more than 349 points. Of course, the sell-off was not all Microsoft's fault. Joining me now with more on what's going on with technology stocks and the index where most of them are listed, the NASDAQ, is NBC's chief financial correspondent Mike Jensen, who's at NASDAQ tonight. Mike?
Tom, a terrifying day on NASDAQ. Waves of selling. The worst point loss in history, down more than 7.5% in a single day. Almost a fifth of that from Microsoft, itself down a staggering 15%. Investors in the company's stock today losing a stunning $80 billion. The overall NASDAQ index now down 15% in the last week. 6 of NASDAQ's biggest one-day point losses ever in the last month alone. Other internet stocks also caught in the downdraft, like drcoop.com, a website featuring the former Surgeon General of the United States, plunging 22% today. Now selling for less than $3 a share, down from $45 last July. Why the bloodbath in the dot-coms? In the quarter just ended, very few of them earned a penny in profits. Joe Sawyer of Forrester Research.
I think that a lot of people were seduced by the addition of .com to any business's name. This bubble has burst.
Other recent .com losers? CD Now, the big online music retailer, selling last July for $23 a share. Today, just under $4. Peapod, an internet grocer, selling for $16 last November. Today, just over $2. That doesn't mean all these companies will go broke. But Merrill Lynch analyst Henry Blodgett says the shakeout is only beginning.
Of the 400 or so .com companies that are out there now, 75% will probably disappear in the next 3 to 5 years.
In the last week alone, more than 40 internet company stocks plunged to their lowest price in a year, including Pets.com, PlanetRx.com, eStamp. Others fall to a fraction of their all-time highs. eToys, iVillage, many losing 70%, even 90% of their value. So is this the end of the dot-coms? Not at all. Analysts say there's no question the internet is here to stay. What we saw today was a tale of two markets. Money pulled out of NASDAQ, going right into the blue chips. Tom?
Thanks very much, NBC's Mike Jensen tonight. Coming up, standing alone, Miami's Little Havana, Cuban Americans taking a defiant stand in the battle over Elian Gonzalez.
Miami has become, Dade County has become something other than a part of the United States. The Constitution doesn't prevail.
The Cuban Americans of Miami's Little Havana, why the voices of dissent are not being heard. Up next, in depth, my live interview with Bill Gates, his view of today's historic ruling against the company he founded, Microsoft.
Strength, critical to a U.S. Olympic athlete and to a GMC driver. With a full-length steel frame, GMC Jimmy gives you an advantage. See the GMC advantage for yourself at your local GMC dealer and ask about special offers on the 2000 GMC Jimmy. For a chance to see the U.S. Olympic team compete in Sydney, call or log on to gmc.com.
Nothing is more precious than your eyesight.
That's why everyone should wear sunglasses, prescription or otherwise.
Get them from Lens Crafters or get them from someone else. It's that important. Every hour, every day, we're helping someone see.
Oh, I think people are definitely confused about which flea and tick protection to use for their dogs and cats.
Yeah, there's others out there, but fact is, Frontline's still the best. That's because Frontline kills 100% of fleas within a day. And only Frontline kills all major ticks, including the one that can carry Lyme disease. There it is.
For fleas and ticks, Frontline is the veterinarian's #1 choice.
Oh, he agrees.
In hospital pharmacies, they dispense medicines that work fast. For heartburn, that's 1-minute Maalox.
It goes to work on stomach acid in 1 minute. Pepcid AC could take over 45 minutes.
Hospital pharmacies rely on Maalox. Shouldn't you?
Count on 1-minute Maalox.
Their eyes locked. He began to kiss her. Suddenly, she pushed him away.
What is wrong?
He asked.
Oh, Nick. My portfolio is totally unbalanced. 3 of my mutual funds are underperforming.
And I've been far too concentrated in small cap stocks.
You can always tell an investor who's had a Schwab portfolio consultation. It's an objective evaluation that tells you how you're doing and whether you could do better.
She spun around. If you don't understand portfolio allocation, Nick.
You don't understand me.
Wait, I love you. Dateline Wednesday. This high school teacher went to a sex club and now she's out of a job.
People have a right to their private lives.
Or do they? Plus, it happens once a year. 12 days, 230 miles. Witness all the agony and the ecstasy of the Eco Challenge. Dateline Wednesday.
NBC News in depth tonight. More on this historic decision against Microsoft. The 43-page ruling was a huge legal setback for the computer software giant. After months of trying to settle this case, Microsoft has been hit hard. What next for the computer giant? Well, we're joined now by the chairman and the founder of Microsoft, Bill Gates, who's in Redmond tonight. Mr. Gates, Judge Jackson, in his ruling, ruled against you on 23 of the 26 points. Many people are going to be saying you were not only not wise, you were merely stubborn, even arrogant, not to try to find a way to solve this outside of court.
Well, Microsoft certainly went the extra mile to try and find a fair settlement here. There's a key point, though, which is that Microsoft's role in helping the PC industry empower millions of people, that's something that we think is valuable for consumers, our ability to innovate and come out with new products. And so we put our best effort into that. This legal ruling was not unexpected given the previous ruling by this judge. We do have an appeals in front of us, and we're pursuing that vigorously.
But his ruling is bound to give others, the states and other people who want to file class action suits against you, a greater foundation. Don't you expect to be in court for most of your adult life now as a result of this ruling?
Well, any other case would probably come behind an appeals ruling on this case. And, you know, Microsoft is a company that has a very important role to play. We take that very seriously. Our role, as anybody who goes into a computer store can tell, has really been about high-volume products that are low price, a very competitive framework. If you just look at what's happened in the 2 years since this case was filed, the new competition, the new devices, you can tell this is a dynamic marketplace that really is working for consumers.
But at the same time, the judge ruled that Microsoft's conduct, and quoting here now, as a whole reinforces the conviction that it was predatory, that it would spend whatever it needed to protect its share of the marketplace.
Well, the ruling tends to confuse the kind of things that are good for consumers, which is competitive products, for example, supporting the internet in Windows, making those better products, confuse that with what is anti-competitive behavior. The appeals process will allow that to be clarified in a way that will allow the market to continue to work the way that it has so well to date.
Mr. Gates, a lot of people believe that your deposition in which you claim not to know a lot about the internal workings of Microsoft rankled this judge. As you look back on your performance during that deposition, do you have any regrets?
Well, I think that kind of legal deposition is it's a very adversarial process. I think anybody who's been through that kind of thing understands how that works. I testified as somebody who has incredible knowledge about the internal workings of Microsoft, a great memory about those things. Everything I said was absolutely, factual and right on the money. So in no way can I go back and look at that and say there's anything that I'd do differently.
Mr. Gates, thank you very much. I know we'll be hearing more from you on this subject and others in the days and months to come.
Thank you, Tom.
I'll be right back.
How long does it take for a kid to pick up a stomach virus?
A split second. So I asked my pediatrician what she uses. She said Lysol disinfectant spray.
Lysol disinfectant spray kills 99.9% of illness-causing viruses in seconds, like rotavirus that can cause intestinal illness. No spray kills more.
No wonder pediatricians use Lysol spray in their own homes.
Lysol spray beats viruses. Nothing beats Lysol spray.
See the USA in your Chevrolet. America's the greatest land of all.
Introducing Chevy Impala. Designed, engineered, and built to be the most carefree car on the road.
See the
drive. Impala, we'll be there.
What's so great about nasal crom? Look at me. I'm not sneezing, but I'm not drowsy. I'm not stuffy, but I'm not jittery. I've never been not miserable in allergy season before. Nasal crom's incredible. These may cause drowsiness. These may cause drug interactions. Nasal crom won't. It's the only allergy medicine that goes right to the source and flat out prevents allergy symptoms. Nasal crom. The best way to stop suffering is never to start.
Sis, I snooped in your medicine cabinet. So? You switched to X-Lax.
Yeah, Correctol works with an artificial chemical. X-Lax works with natural senna.
Very effectively, too.
You tried it.
Today's gentle X-Lax with natural vegetable senna. 4 out of 5 users agree. It's dependable overnight.
X-Lax, what a find.
What a snoop.
Today's X-Lax, good morning, guaranteed. And for relief with the added comfort of a softener, try new X-Lax Gentle Strength.
Can you tell them to keep it down at least?
Could you keep it down just a bit?
Go, Jack. Sorry, we've just heard from our analysts in Asia about a possible interruption in chip production, which may cause a dip in tech stocks here. But we'll let you know in the morning.
Something about dips and chips.
ML.com, the smartest place to invest online.
Where in the world is
Matt Lauer?
Starting April 1st, you decide. Just log on to our website and vote. It's your chance to tell Matt Lauer where to go.
It's like today, only later. Later today, weekdays on NBC.
We have some major developments tonight to report on the tug-of-war over Elian Gonzalez, including an announcement tonight by the State Department. It has approved visas for his father, his immediate family, Elian's pediatrician, and his kindergarten teacher to come to this country from Cuba. After days of negotiations with Elian's relatives in Miami, the Justice Department has decided to take the child out of their hands and turn him over to his father. The question is, how? NBC's Kerry tonight with the latest from Miami.
Elian Gonzalez playing in his yard today. The boy, who has now spent more than 4 months in the United States, may now remain in this country for at least 5 more weeks. But his address would change, from a modest 2-bedroom house in Miami's Little Havana to a Washington, D.C. suburb, the home of Cuba's ranking diplomat in the United States. The decision would give both sides victories, Juan Miguel Gonzalez reuniting with his son, at least for now. Those working to keep the 6-year-old in the United States winning the promise Elian will not return to Cuba until their appeal to keep him is heard in federal court.
If the government were to place Elian in Washington, D.C. with his father, the government would be much closer to removing Elian from the United States in the event Elian loses his appeal, and the government would be able to avoid all the civil unrest that could occur in Miami.
Back in Cuba, Elian's father and 5 other family members granted visas late today to come to the United States. The plan, surround the boy with those he has known most of his life and get him away from the daily glare of the media and public. In Havana tonight, Cuba's leader Fidel Castro with Elian's father at another rally. While in Miami, those surrounding Elian's house, promising violence if Elian is taken away, now worry that moving to Washington would be the first step to sending him home.
It is not a logical decision, and it should not be taken as such, and we are not going to just accept it. We're going to fight.
A 9 a.m. deadline set for tomorrow revoking Elian's permission to stay in this country no longer an issue. That's because the 6-year-old's father may be on his way to this country as early as tomorrow. Kerry Sanders, NBC News, Miami.
For 131 days since Elian Gonzalez was rescued in the waters off Florida, it has appeared that the Cuban-American community in Miami speaks with one voice, defiant and determined to keep him in this country. However, as NBC's Jim Avila reports this evening, there is another side that is rarely heard.
Miami's Little Havana, cultural center for 800,000 South Florida Cuban Americans, often an island of its own, either Cuban nor American when it comes to issues like Elian Gonzalez.
Miami has become, Dade County has become something other than a part of the United States. The Constitution doesn't prevail.
Jim Mullins, a retired Miami businessman and civil rights activist, part of a growing Miami backlash, watching as the Gonzalez case isolates hardline Cubans from the rest of the country.
Anything that has to do with Castro is like a football game between Cuban Miami and Cuban Cuba. And they want to win regardless.
How alone is the Cuban-American community on the fate of Elian? A Gallup poll says 55% of Americans believe he should return to his father. And a separate Miami Herald poll shows that 48% of Miami agrees. But Miami Cubans, only 5% say the boy should return to Cuba. Raul de Velasco says it's more than 5%. He says the polls hide a quiet, strong minority of Cuban Americans who believe parental rights are more powerful than politics.
The Cuban society, the Cuban culture, family is all important.
Dr. de Velasco says vocal Cuban American leaders picked the wrong issue in the Elian custody battle and isolate themselves even more by preparing for civil disobedience outside Elian's Miami home.
I'm embarrassed by that. I'm embarrassed by the fact that they go to do that without respect to the law.
Why aren't voices like de Velasco's heard more often? One reason, intimidation.
For many, many years, some powerful members of this community convinced the community that there was only one way to think.
That way of thinking dictated by the Cuban exiles, island-born, escaping Castro in the early 60s, but now as they age, making up only 1/3 of the Miami Cuban population. They're younger, often better educated, now willing to resume trade with the homeland, promoting a gradual move to democracy rather than demanding Castro's immediate removal.
The newer generations also do not have that interest in the anti-Castro struggle.
But the older exiles remain the most powerful voice, politically savvy, spreading influence and contributions to both parties, and keeping Miami's Little Havana nearly a country of its own. Jim Avila, NBC News, Miami.
I'll be right back. Our look tonight at the family.
You are what you eat. You are what you eat. Fresh, classy, tasty, refreshing, natural.
Introducing Hellmann's Citrus Splash. 5 tasty new vinaigrettes. They're the only salad dressings made with real Florida citrus. New Hellmann's Citrus Splash, because you are what you eat. Pour on the Hellmann's, bring out the best.
Talk about a torture test. I took a leave to my 2-day walk for charity. With my bad back, I needed something that wouldn't let me down. Well, Aleve kept me going all day.
Just 2 Aleve can stop pain all day. It would take 8 Tylenol to do that.
Thanks, Aleve.
This Social Security measure.
In 1935, FDR helped millions of Americans retire with less worry. Today, we're picking up where he left off. Introducing the Retirement Income Manager from T. Rowe Price, a unique advisory service that helps you determine how much of your retirement savings you can comfortably spend each month for the rest of your life. The Retirement Income Manager. We believe FDR would have approved. Call 1-800-341-0040 for more information. Be afraid, potato chips. Be very afraid.
Introducing Quaker Crispy Minis. Light and crispy with a flavor so intense, you'll forget they're good for you. So let the mouth-watering begin. Quaker Crispy Minis Rice Snacks. The rice snack that eats like a chip. Try 2 new awesome flavors, nacho and ranch.
Lobster Fest has arrived. Our annual celebration of everything lobster. So don't hide. Escape to Red Lobster.
Man, I'm hungry.
What, $1 for a sliver of raw fish?
It's sushi.
Sushi? Where I'm from, we call that stuff bait.
What else can you get for just $1?
Well, I can get a 20-minute phone call for only 99 cents.
Quit kidding around.
No, it's true. Dial 10-10-220. It's just 99 cents for all calls up to 20 minutes.
And just 7 cents a minute after that.
And get this, there's no monthly fee.
10-10-220 really is a great deal.
We know. Hey, you forgot to cut this.
Dial 10-10-220.
Bill Gates built the Microsoft empire and now watches as today's historic judgment threatens his multi-billion-dollar business. Ryan Williams hosts Target Microsoft tonight on MSNBC.
Mine. Got it.
That one's mine.
You can get your own personalized ticker with only the stocks you own on CNBC.com.
Health news tonight, yet more confusion over the difficult question of hormone replacement therapy for menopausal women. The National Institutes of Health sent a letter tonight to 27,000 women participating in a study warning them of a small increase in heart attacks, stroke, and blood clots in women taking hormone replacement. This only adds to the considerable confusion over hormones, which can ease menopause symptoms like hot flashes, but can also raise the risk of certain cancers, and now it seems also raise the risk perhaps of heart disease. Tonight's family, the changing eating habits of Americans dictated by lifestyle, taste, and health concerns. That's evident from the moment we get up in the morning for the first meal. And for the breakfast food industry, that represents a great challenge. So it is going the supercharged route. NBC's Thompson on whether it's working.
The Falter family, keepers of a slowly fading American tradition, taking the time to eat cereal for breakfast.
What do you want?
Pakistan.
Okay.
Margie expecting her third child, paying special attention to what's listed on the boxes.
I typically look for, nutritional value.
One of those nutrients, folic acid, a key ingredient for expectant mothers to prevent birth defects, now getting top billing. Tomorrow, Kellogg's will announce 16 of its adult cereals will be fortified with 100% of the daily requirement of folic acid, vitamins B6 and B12. Kellogg's claims studies show these additives can lower a substance that causes heart disease.
By providing 100% of the daily values in a product that people eat on a daily basis, you're creating more opportunities for people to get the recommended amounts in their diets.
And some experts say food, rather than a pill, is the best way to get such nutrients.
But will a healthier product mean healthier sales? Some analysts are skeptical, one pointing out Americans already time-starved show no evidence of having a bigger appetite for cereal.
Cereal sales off more than $500 million from 1994 to 1999. The number of times a year Americans skip breakfast now up to 49 from 41 in 1996.
I don't believe that people are going to change their lifestyle for some extra nutrients in cereal.
Food marketing consultant John Staton says part of the problem with all this is consumers are confused, with health claims making grocery aisles resemble medicine chests.
They hear one time that butter's bad for them, and then butter's not bad for them, margarine's bad for them, and people want to do the right thing, but they're just not sure.
There's orange juice with added calcium for strong bones, margarine that actually lowers cholesterol. Dr. Claire Hassler believes targeted nutrition is a growing trend.
You may walk into a grocery store of the future and have a section for cardiovascular disease, a section for diabetes risk reduction.
A marketplace offering one-stop shopping for nutrition and health. Convenient if you have the time to study the labels, but no cure-all, as American families like the Falters must still find the time to eat breakfast. Ann Thompson, NBC News, Chicago.
That's nightly news for this Monday night. Tonight on Dateline NBC, an international child custody case from America's past that might change your mind about what should happen to Elian Gonzalez. That's Dateline tonight at 8, 7 Central. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
Nightly News is a presentation of NBC News. More Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world.
Tonight on Third Watch,
We're missing 18!
a building becomes a death trap.
We hear you!
We got live explosives inside. Get the bomb squad down here.
We got 2 men here with critical injuries trapped under a...
Their biggest rescue yet.
We're not leaving.
I love you.
Love you too, Daddy.
They can only save one of them.
A heart-stopping Third Watch, NBC tonight at 10, 9 Central.
A vacation turns into horror on the high seas as a family is attacked by a modern-day pirate. And tonight, one teenage boy has paid a terrible price.
Also, she was inside a Fort Worth church praying when the deadly twister tore through. Hear one woman's amazing story of survival.
Plus, we're going to take you out to the ball game to show you what it's like for Rangers fans from the best seats in the house to the grandstand.
NBC 5 News at 6 is next.
If you're driving around with some cut-rate car insurance and you get into an accident, that's when it hits you. There's no State Farm agent to turn to for help.
All operators are busy. Please hold.
So, the choice is yours. Get yourself a State Farm agent.
Please continue holding.
Or get left high and dry.